day today, dog. Offense, great drive.
Go, go!
He's up. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Training Camp Live, presented by Honda.
Fans are back here at One Jets Drive at the Atlantic Health Jets Training Center. The New York Jets back on the practice field for the first time in front of fans. A new and improved experience, which we'll hear from later on. Aaron Rodgers, of course, at the helm. Jets fans have already started an Aaron Rodgers chant, already started Jets, 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 Jets chant. I'm Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen, Lavernius Coles here at One Jets Drive. LC, this is an amazing scene, and practice hasn't even started yet.
Well, I mean, it's what we all dream about as football players. You get an opportunity to come out in front of these amazing fans and basically get an opportunity to play pretty much a pregame is what it is. You get a game scenario, game atmosphere where the fans are cheering for you, and you get an opportunity to catch some balls and see what the fans are going to be mad at you about or what they're going to be happy with you about.
Pumped to have you here today, LC. 4th all-time in franchise annals in terms of receptions, 5th in receiving yards, tied for 5th receiving touchdowns. What do you think about the man of the hour there, Aaron Rodgers, here, his first open practice as a New York Jet?
Well, I tell you what, the expectations are high. And, I mean, the people are excited. I mean, it shows in the sales of the practice tickets. They say they were going in less than 3 minutes or 3 minutes there. So that tells you where everybody's looking for right now. So everybody's going to be excited about the fact that he's here, and the bar is set high. And as long as he continue to make plays, which he's done over the last, 19 years, they'll be fine.
So you talked about it. Practice tickets sold out in 3 minutes. When you're a player and you're knowing that you're practicing in front of a lot of Jets fans, tickets sell out in 3 minutes, Aaron Rodgers at the helm, what changes, if anything? You trying to put on more of a show in front of the fans at all?
Well, you better not make a mistake, I tell you that much, because they're going to let you know about it up here in New York. So that's the thing you only think about. So that's why I said you're getting game preparation in a practice atmosphere. So, I mean, this is great for the guys, especially the young guys that haven't really played in front of a lot of people like this before at this level. So, I mean, it's good. It's good experience. You get an opportunity to get out and just have fun, and that's what it's about at this level.
Speaking of experience and having fun, you have experience being on Hard Knocks yourself, right?
Oh, yeah. You've got to see me get cut. You've got to see me get brought back. You get to see a little bit of it all, man. So, I mean, at any time you could be having a conversation that you're probably not supposed to be having and look up and there's a mic above your head. So that's the only thing about it. Just be careful what you say and be mindful that this is a family environment and enjoy it, man, because everybody's watching you, and on a weekly basis, you're going to be front and center.
The great thing for Jets fans is they're going to get 2 documentaries this year as far as covering them throughout the summer. This team, One Jets Drive, will debut on Monday night, August 7th, and our in-house production crew off the charts in terms of what they bring to the table.
That is absolutely no doubt about it. You should definitely check out One Jets Drive. It's won, 19 Emmys over the past X amount of years. It's done an incredible job. And for this Jets team, talk about Hard Knocks. There's a lot of attention right now.
Yeah.
What has to happen on the field for the Jets team, new offense, new quarterback, to quickly gel before September 11th against the Buffalo Bills happens?
I would caution people with that. I mean, the expectations is really high, and it takes time for these guys to get to know each other. I know I've heard Aaron has been around here for a while, but you got guys coming off of surgeries. You got guys that's coming off of injuries. People miss time. And so the bar is set high, and I kind of give people this analogy when you talk about football. You know, if they get off to a slower start than people anticipate and don't come out the gate that well, don't pucker up too fast. Because, again, it's like a movie you've heard so many things about. People, you hear about a movie, how great it is, and then you actually go get a chance to see it yourself, and you're like, oh, well, it's just okay. Don't do that with this team. Give them time, because if they can hit their stride at the right part of this season, they'll be fine. So if they come out the gate a little bit slower than anticipated, they'll be fine.
If you're a receiver like Garrett Wilson, how do you go about your business with a new quarterback, one of the best players who've ever played the game, and Aaron Rodgers? It seems like early on in their experience together, these guys have instant chemistry. You're talking about Rodgers saying, this guy has a potential to be the top receiver in the league, and thrown in some Devontae Adams comparisons.
Well, I mean, yeah, again, throw caution into the wind, because if you're telling everybody around the league that this guy has this ability, then people have the opportunity to start game planning for him and thinking about him quite a bit more. So people are going to focus on him. And again, if people take him away, then they have the opportunity to go somewhere else and have guys open the field up for him, so that it takes some attention away from him, so later on he can come back and make plays. So he probably just need to be patient. I understand he was used to being a focal point for a while last year, but again, right now everybody knows he's one of the best in the league, and they're going to game plan for him. So allow the other guys to get involved, which I'm sure Aaron will do. Get them involved, then everything will open up from him a little bit later on, and then he'll start getting his touches and show why he's one of the best in the game right now.
Garrett Wilson, Offensive Rookie of the Year last year, first Jets rookie receiver to break 1,000 yards. How much better can he get with a season under his belt, and especially with Aaron Rodgers? Like, how much more do you feel like could be unlocked from Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I mean, your first year, the game is fast. I mean, and for him, it's going to start to slow down. And then you have someone like Aaron at the helm that's going to talk you through the game and then explain to you why you're not involved, and then times you're going to be more involved. So it's the sky's the limit for this kid. And I've heard so much about great things about how he works, and in this offseason he was here by himself several days putting in the time. Yep. And that's what it's about. The coaches see you putting in the time, the other guys see you putting in the time, and then everybody around here hears about how you're putting the time in to be one of the best to ever walk through the Jets organization. So he's going to be one of the best to ever do it, if not the best, because, I mean, he came out of the gate fast. But, I mean, the potential for this gentleman is going to be great, and we're all excited about having him here. And Joe Douglas doing a great job of surrounding these guys with great talent.
I'll see what's happening here early in camp. This is just the third practice for these guys, and right now, no pads. The pads don't come on until Tuesday, and the Jets got to ease their way into things, I would imagine, because they're one of the first two teams in the National Football League to report for training camp, and they'll have the 4 preseason games this year, this summer, as opposed to the traditional 3 now.
Well, I mean, you don't want to get the guys burnt out, and that's the key about easing these guys into it, but you still have to get prepared for the game. So it's just coaches being a coach going to have to figure out ways to make sure that he don't overwork the guys and they don't hit their stride too fast. To where they're burnt out towards the end of the season, sort of like we did back when we had Brett Favre. I think we was like 9-3, and everybody thought it was going to be we was on our way to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, but we ended up missing. I mean, we just fizzled out towards the end because we was burnt out. We had put so much time in early out throughout the season. So hopefully he's able to gauge these guys and understand the team and be able to read their body language as they go. And like I say, hit their stride at the right time of the year, and they'll be fine.
You had talked about if teams start to game plan for Garrett Wilson, the Jets have other options at receiver. They bring in Allen Lazard, Corey Davis still on the team, bringing in McCole Hardman. What do you like about this Jets receiver room, the way that it's stacking up right now in camp?
Well, it's balanced. I mean, you really can't focus on anybody, but, I mean, again, you know there's going to be a lot of attention to pay to the top guys. I mean, so with him being Garrett Wilson being the man right now, everybody around the league knowing a Rookie of the Year, all the accolades, Aaron Rodgers praising him. Every clip I've seen on TV sitting back home in Jacksonville has been a picture of Aaron Rodgers throwing him the football. So just like I see it, all these other teams see it. So they're going to focus in on him early, try and take him away, because you never want the first option to be the guy that you're able to get the ball to. So again, it's just going to take time. They'll be fine. They have so many weapons that you just can't focus. And once he's able to spread the ball around, which I'm sure he'll do, everything will open up for each one of these guys at any moment in the game.
I know one of those weapons that you were just talking about before, Breece Hall. We saw him underneath us here at One Jets Drive, because we're on the second level up here in the balcony. He's working out to the side right now.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean,
well, when he gets back into the fold, LC, like, he said that he doesn't feel like he's behind, right? Because, like, in the spring, he's still in meetings, he's still in installments, he can do everything. In your opinion, obviously you played a different position, but do you think Breece Hall can just step in and feel fine when he's fine?
It doesn't work that way. And, I mean, I've watched a lot of guys come off of those surgeries. And, I mean, it's a tough surgery to come back from. And usually it takes them between a good 9 games to get back to themselves once they actually step on the field. And it's not that it's going to be anything probably physically wrong with him, but it takes a while for your mental to get there so that you could trust that you could do what you was doing before again. And, again, he hasn't – I mean, you remember you laid up for a few months, which we're not used to doing, and then getting your body acclimated back to the speed of the game. And and then being in pads again. He hasn't put pads on in a while. It's just going to take time. And I mean, that's why I say I don't want people to get discouraged about the team if they don't come out as fast as you want them to come out. But they will be fine. I think they'll hit their peak at the right time.
Rodgers, who we're watching, he's flanked by C.J. Mosley and Zach Wilson on the screen right now. He said yesterday on an appearance with ESPN New York radio that it would be a disservice to the Jets if he came in here and played only 1 year. Robert Saleh added later when he was talking to the media that bottom line, he'd be shocked if Rodgers didn't play more than 1 year because he's bouncing around here like a kid. He's got the fire. He's totally reinvigorated. What do you think about that, hearing that Rodgers' intentions as far as not just, okay, this year, and maybe it will be a magical year, and then we'll have to see what happens. But again, he talked about the importance of we have a window right here, and we have a lot of guys on their first contracts. Yeah.
I get it. The excitement's there right now. But what needs to happen is Gage this year, they go win a Super Bowl. He may say, you know what, I'm done. Yeah. Or, you know, things may not go as well. I mean, then you have to deal with the New York media. You have to deal with the New York fans. And, I mean, right now, just like they're patting you on the back, you'll have these New York people throwing some batteries at you or something later on. So you have to be a bit careful. It's just one of those things. They just like they love you, they'll toss you to the side. But it's just if he's successful, if they get close or anything like that, I think he'll measure it at the end of the year and decide what he's going to do. But this is the best place to play. I mean, if you could win here and have any type of success, it's fun. And, I mean, we haven't had any success here in a while. And with him being here, the excitement is back in the fans and in the building. And the sky's the limit for this team. So if he thinks it's going to be great and he's looking at it now from a positive standpoint, I hope he keeps that energy next year.
You know, the last time batteries were thrown at me, I think, was Oakland, 2001, 2002. You remember those days.
That's a great way to end Lavernius Coles here on set on Training Camp Live, presented by Honda. LC, appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Great seeing you as always.
So one of the things that's new about training camp, well, there's a lot new. And for more on that, let's head to Caroline Hendershot. Caroline, what's up?
Ethan, you're right. There is a lot of new things at training camp this year, including the amount of bleachers. So obviously the demand for tickets was high this year, so they expanded the amount of bleachers, including this double-decker bleacher that I'm on right now. And a nice little perk about the bleachers this year is that they're all covered. So when you're watching the guys out on the field, you can be protected from the sun. It's nice, it's cool. I think this bleacher set might be my new personal favorite because it gives you a great vantage point of all the fields. You can see far, you can see close. It's great, it's my favorite. But I do have to warn fans, if you're trying to come to open practices that are coming up, the 4 that were just released last week sold out within 3 minutes. So you guys got to make sure the next time tickets are available, which will be on Ticketmaster on July 31st at 11 a.m., you guys got to be on those tickets quickly. There will be for open practices Saturday, August 5th and Sunday, August 6th. So make sure you're on Ticketmaster right at 11 a.m. because I expect the next batch to go within 2 minutes.
Are you sure that you don't like the double-decker the most just because it's shady and covered?
You know, I actually and you know.
Okay, so what is the best part of the double-decker other than the shade? Is it the vantage point? And what's the energy like out there right now?
I think it's the vantage point because you can see all 3 fields from up here. You can see a full view. It's crazy. When I was walking out to this, you could hear the Aaron Rodgers chants from across the building. It was electric. And we just saw some rookies running across, shirtless, might I add, hyping up the stands and the fans, and they went wild. So I think today is going to be pretty exciting.
Awesome, Caroline. Appreciate it. Jets football is almost here, and it's time to lock in your season tickets. You can be at MetLife Stadium for the biggest games of the year when the Jets host the Chiefs, Eagles, Bills, Chargers, and more. Secure your seats now at nyjets.com. Okay, again, welcome to Training Camp Live, presented by Honda. Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen. We traded Lavernius Coles for Quincy Enunwa, who joins us on set. Q, nice to see you.
Yes, it's good to be back.
Hey.
This is the game day crew with Caroline and all the 3 of us.
Absolutely.
We're just missing Anthony Becht.
That's it. So soon, right?
Listen, if you have an X receiver, you need a Y receiver. So we got the receivers covered today. Quincy, I got a bone to pick with Greens because his headline yesterday was the defense is ahead of the offense here early in training camp after 2 practices, and Robert Saleh acknowledged that. But what would you say about where we're at right now? This is just the 3rd practice.
Before you answer that, I
Yeah.
just want to say EA's byline is also there, so he just called himself out.
I was helping out with notes. Come on now.
Man. I tell EA, it's early in training camp, and this is the moment where you're really trying to get some of these plays down. You really want to understand the base level, so then you can start to really get advanced. So the defense is going to win some of these practices. They're going to have opportunities to win. It might be screen period, draw period, some periods where you're just not going to see those big chunk plays. But as training camp starts to get along, you're going to really see those big plays, and that's when it's going to get exciting.
All right, so special teams is going on right now at practice, but we're watching the receivers. Talk to us. Well, we just moved off of that, but what was Garrett Wilson and Corey Davis doing in that drill? Obviously catching the football, but take us through it.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff right there is, these are the top receivers on the team. So most of the time, they're not going to be in some of these special teams period. So they're going to be doing a lot of things that's going to work on their hand-eye coordination, fingertip catches down on the ground, distraction catches, over-the-shoulder catches. I remember when I was here and Hines Ward was a coach, he had one drill where we would face our back to him, and he would call us, and then we would try to catch it, and just kind of working on that hand-eye coordination, that quick twitch, because a lot of the time when you're out there, you're not going to have a lot of time to think before you catch the ball. It's got to be a lot of reactivity.
Robert Saleh called this portion, well, he didn't call this portion. He said that the players are wearing pajamas, essentially, because the pads come on Tuesday. Until then, just shells, jerseys, and shorts. But from an offensive perspective, Quincy, what is the biggest difference when the pads come on, if you're a receiver or if you're really any position?
Yeah, right now, he said pajamas, it's really pillow fighting, right? They're out there, everything's soft, pitter-patter, all those different things. When the pads come on, that's when it really gets tough. That's when, it's as close as you can get to game day, as close as you can get to the live action, and it's also just a lot more challenging. You have a whole lot more weight on your body. So, I think, like I said before, that's the more exciting time. That's when the plays start to get more challenging, more difficult, and the players really got to turn it on because they know this is this much closer to the season.
Robert Saleh, actually, he didn't say pajamas, he said pajamas. So are you guys team pajamas or pajamas?
I'm pajamas, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm pajamas, too.
I think it depends on the day.
Pajamas? Depends on the day.
PJ's works with my daughter, I would say.
Yes.
I would report that Dwayne Brown is back out here on the practice field today. We'll have to see if he practices fully, if he's a full participant, but he was excused here early in camp for personal reasons. So Dwayne Brown back at One Jets Drive. Q, after the first session the Jets had on Thursday, you watch Aaron Rodgers go to the podium and address the media for the first time here this summer. What kind of takeaway did you get from just Rodgers and him being here, and also what he wants the Jets to accomplish here early in camp?
Well, the first thing that was really obvious to me was his presence at this podium. I think having a calm presence like him in the huddle, it's got to speak magnitude to the guys. It's got to be something that really gives you confidence in him. I think one thing I really admire about Aaron is that he's a guy that is really thoughtful and mindful about the things that he says and he does. So that when you're going out there with him, he's going to be really kind of methodical about the things that he's doing on the field. So I'm excited to see how that translates, into game day and all those other things. But, he spoke about the Super Bowl. A lot of those guys are speaking about, they want to make it to the Super Bowl. And it's exciting to be around a Jets team that really has that confidence that they can get there.
Do you anticipate him taking any game snaps? I know this is early. I know it's the 3rd practice, but just as far as the preseason is concerned, because in the past with Green Bay, either he's not out there at all or maybe he takes a couple snaps.
Yeah. He's done a lot of different things that I feel like he didn't do in Green Bay. So I think if I'm him, I want to get as close to game reps as possible. So if I can get out there and kind of get a few game reps with those guys, even if it's just one series, right, that's enough to kind of feel comfortable and know that, okay, we all are playing at the same speed.
I think it's interesting you said that because I think a lot of fans who are listening, who are in attendance would say, put him in bubble wrap until September 11th. against the Buffalo Bills. So you're saying that's not the case for you?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, as a competitor especially, you at least want to get one series just to kind of get your feet wet. You know, you're playing with a whole new team. I think that's why he came during OTA, so it makes sense he would want to do that during the preseason as well.
Yeah, and Q isn't advocating for him to play in 3 games or anything like that. He's talking about maybe one series. But here today, he gets his first big-time interaction with Jets fans. This place is filled to capacity. Q, I know this is not a game-like condition, of course. But with that being said, if you're a player and you feel that energy out here, what's going through your mind as far as today's workout?
Oh, I mean, today is you know, I think you turn the level up just a little bit more, turn the dial up. You know, when the fans are out here, they're chanting. I mean, they're chanting Aaron Rodgers' name, you know. So for him, I know that makes him feel, you know, a little bit more like it's game day. And for the rest of the players, it's just a chance to give a show because, you know, anytime you make a big catch, you're going to hear that audience. You're going to hear that applause when you know, make a big hit. Not today, but, you know, as the future goes on. You know, those are the times when, you know, you really want to perform because we are performers out here. We're entertainers, so we enjoy that aspect of the game. And, you know, I think these guys turn it up just a little bit more.
Look, I think it's loud here already, and practice has kind of started. Then it's going to amp up a notch when the pads come on. Then when the Jets play at MetLife Stadium against the Bills, that'll be out of control. Quincy, we'll see you there, though, because for Pregame Central. But that is way down the road. We appreciate your time here on Training Camp Live, presented by Honda. EA, let's talk about the cornerbacks a little bit, because Sauce Gardner yesterday addressed the media for the first time. He was great. He had a lot of great things to say. One thing I was curious, do you think he looks bigger at all, like he put on a little bit of weight in a good way?
Maybe a little bit. Me and you go back and forth about the guys' weights here this summer.
That's how you know it's training camp, when EA, myself, and the rest of the beat reporters and everyone who covers the team asks about who's weighing what, because C.J. Mosley looks like he trimmed down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Sauce Gardner, to me, looked like he's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all, because this is really his first true professional offseason entering year 2, right? So I'm sure he's on a much different program than going through all the pre-draft circuit and then getting his feet wet in the National Football League. But the other thing that I love to hear from Sauce Gardner, that he had 3 goals last year. He wanted to be a Pro Bowler. He wanted to be Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he wanted to be an All-Pro. Check, check, check. He took care of all of them. Now, what does he want to do in 2023 in year 2? Well, he sets his sights even higher. He wants to be the MVP, but then extended into that interview, you know, lengthened that out a little bit. He said, I have more team goals this year. And again, it's the ultimate prize for Sauce Gardner. He's a guy who's just so focused, and he wants to take his game to the next level. I just think his mindset is so impressive, and I continue to make that connection with him and Garrett Wilson, because they're play different positions on opposite sides of the ball, but man, they have similar mindsets.
You know, I know we're taking a look at DJ Reed and Tony Adams, who had a very nice day of practice yesterday. As I'm looking at the practice field, you broke a little news earlier talking about Dwayne Brown being at practice. I want to break a little news here as well. Jermaine Johnson wearing number 11, his college number, which means he has officially changed his number from 52 to 11, which was occupied by Denzel Mims, who is now a member of the Detroit Lions.
Well, let's follow up. Let's take another step. Jermaine Johnson, if you're scoring at home, he is a linebacker.
Yep.
He will not be listed as a defensive end anywhere anymore. Jermaine is a linebacker. And oh, by the way, Jets. The Jets have said this guy looks awesome. Robert Saleh said that, and also Quinnen Williams. Was it Quinnen the first day of? Who
shouted out Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
The Jets are expecting big things for him in year 2.
You know, I think that also one thing on the linebacker is that in order to be number 11, you have to be listed as a linebacker. Same thing with Matt Judon in New England. Anyway, we were talking about the cornerbacks. I went on a little bit of a tangent
That's
there.
fine.
And Caroline, you know what I thought was really cool was Sauce Gardner shouting out Michael Carter II yesterday when he was talking to the media.
You know, I agree, Ethan. And Sauce and DJ obviously get a lot of attention because, you know, they're the dynamic duo. But Sauce made sure that Michael Carter II got his kudos yesterday because he explained that what Michael Carter does at the nickel position has given him a whole new respect for the position. He said he's so knowledgeable in meetings when he asks questions, when they dissect plays, when they're watching film. He said what he does on the field looks easy, but it's not easy. And that, I think, is the biggest compliment of all to Michael Carter.
I totally agree. You know, Michael Carter II, EA, was the highest rated nickel corner by PFF of players who took at least 50% of the snaps. He had 63 tackles, 9 pass defenses, 2 interceptions, and also not only did Sauce Gardner shout him out, Aaron Rodgers shouted him out a couple weeks ago when he was talking to the media. He said that when the Jets played the Packers at Lambeau last season, their game plan, meaning Green Bay's game plan, was to try and go after Michael Carter II because of the success of Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. And all of Green Bay came out of that game thinking, you know what? This guy out of Duke is a pretty good player, and he's one of the Jets' best players on defense.
He's an outstanding player, and that speaks to Sauce Gardner, how mature he is that he knows that he and DJ Reed, rightfully so, are getting a lot of attention on the outside because that's one of the best cornerback tandems in the National Football League. But they're saying, don't forget our guy and the responsibilities he has. Essentially, Michael Carter has to come in and be an extra linebacker in those run fits and play the run. And then how much traffic do you have to dealing with those shifty guys on the inside? So Michael Carter, a very valuable piece in this secondary. And when you think about the Jets cornerbacks, just don't think about the tandem. Think about those 3. And by the way, in the National Football League, you're lining up so much in sub packages that, hey, it's basically your base when Carter's on the field.
I have 2 anecdotes about Michael Carter II that stand out to me. One of them was your podcast with Jeff Ulbrich. No, it wasn't. It was the miking of Jeff Ulbrich in the spring when Ulbrich says that Michael Carter II has elite eyes. The other thing that stands out to me is Michael Carter's rookie year. He was starting in the nickel. Brandon Eccles was starting on the outside. The Jets were in Miami late in the year. The Jets were down. Michael Carter II said to Brandon Eccles, like, hey, this ball is coming your way on this route.
Pick 6.
Pick 6. And that is a shout out to the smarts of Michael Carter II. Football, though, is back. You can celebrate by watching all 32 teams, including your Jets, take the field for training camp back together weekend. NFL Network and NFL Plus have you covered with coverage on July 29th and 30th. Additional coverage on ABC and ESPN. Go to NFL.com/backtogetherweekend for ways to watch. Again, you're watching Jets Training Camp Live, presented by Honda. One player that we should also talk about, because he didn't really practice in the spring, but he had a very nice catch on Thursday, the Jets' first practice. It was Tyler Conklin, the Jets tight end. And it really didn't seem like much because it was about, a 3 to 5 yard gain. But I think that we've talked about this before. The Jets tight ends group, specifically Conklin, Ron Middleton said it on the official Jets podcast with you. This guy, meaning Aaron Rodgers, is going to love what Conklin provides in the pass game.
Conklin said yesterday, point blank, this is a tight end friendly offense. And you're seeing him get on the same page with Rodgers. Like you said, he wasn't out there in the spring. So, but that first day, that's Rodgers being pressure and getting the ball out to Conklin. And he's a guy who's very athletic. We saw what he did in his first year here with the Jets, and he's very excited about, obviously, getting paired up with Rodgers. Now, you look with Rodgers throughout his career and how much he's thrown the ball to the tight ends who had different skill sets. So these guys, not only Conklin, I got to imagine Uzama, who's started to the side here on PUP to start camp, but Rucker, the list goes on and on as far as the tight ends are concerned. These guys are pumped to be playing with him.
I'm going to beat a dead horse here. I feel like this tight ends room can be unlocked with Aaron Rodgers. Tyler Conklin last season had the most receiving yards by a Jets tight end since who, EA? This is a little bit of on-the-spot trivia. Tyler Conklin, 58 catches, 552 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The most in a single season in terms of reception, or in terms of receiving yards and receptions, since whom? It was...
We're going to say I'm going to go way back.
It's
Dustin Keller.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I was going to say, when you said way back, I thought you were going to go like way, way back.
No.
Dustin Keller in 2011.
Boiler up, Greens.
I was going to say, that's probably why you guessed that. 815 yards from Dustin Keller. And I think it speaks volumes what Tyler Conklin was able to do last season, coming off of a career high with the Vikings the season prior. And remember, the Jets started 4 different quarterbacks. He was pretty consistent, and in training camp, I think we saw him start to flash. But the thing is, with Aaron Rodgers, I think it'll just take that whole group to a totally different level, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. And we're watching Rodgers here. This crowd is juiced up. It's going to be interesting as far as the ball distribution. I think that Quincy and Lavernius both touched on that, right? Garrett Wilson is not sneaking up on anybody after having an 1,100-yard season last year. Allen Lazard was Aaron Rodgers' top target last year in Green Bay. And then you have a different look on the inside of the slot position because you got McCole Hardman here, Randall Cobb, of course, familiarity with Rodgers. Don't forget about Corey Davis. I mean, I think that's a name that people haven't talked about. And then you mentioned the tight end position. Of course, the Jets do have some backs out of the backfield and catch it. We'll have to see Breece Hall's availability early in the season, but Michael Carter's getting the 1 reps right now. So I'm going to be fascinated to see because you got a new coordinator, new system, and Aaron Rodgers running the show as far as that ball distribution, especially early in the season.
Right now, I feel like the offense is like a puzzle. The pieces are going to fit. You're just not quite sure where yet, and that's what this time of year is about. The Jets will start to put the pieces together, hopefully today in front of some fans, because I think that the fans would be absolutely gassed up if Aaron Rodgers dials it deep to anybody, really. But I do think it's time to talk about the defense, specifically the defensive line, because yesterday was a good day for that group. Jermaine Johnson was in the backfield. Bryce Huff was in the backfield. Michael Clemens, someone we really haven't talked about a lot.
You going to go Al Woods here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And the thing is, and there, by the way, you can see Jermaine Johnson in 11 for those watching at home, and it looks pretty good. Looks like he's back to his Florida State roots there, and Georgia. I don't know about Independence Community College if he was wearing 11, but definitely he was a Bulldog and a Seminole in 11. And the thing with Al Woods, he's a run stuffer, but I thought it was interesting what Robert Saleh said. He hasn't been taught to just go the way that the Jets teach it. And in Thursday's practice, Michael Carter took a screen down the left sideline, and Al Woods was like running step for step near Michael Carter, to the point where Michael Carter, after running the ball into the end zone, was like, Al. And he just gave him a shout out because it was crazy to see someone who weighs 300+ pounds running stride for stride or close to it with Michael Carter.
I love it. He's a big man, and you're right. Last year in Seattle, probably asked to occupy a lot more to free up some space for the linebackers. Here with the Jets, they're asking these guys to get off the ball and get up the field. And I talked to Jeff Ulbrich about it. He said that I think Woods, we can untap something new. And that's interesting because typically you don't have that conversation. You don't talk about somebody like that in that kind of vein who's 36 years old. But, yeah, the Jets, that's where that dynamic has changed up front along that defensive line. Robert Saleh smiled about what the potential is. He said we can line up with anybody as far as our defensive line is concerned. But next to Quinnen Williams, who was extended prior to training camp, that's where the change dynamic is. You bring in Al Woods, his former teammate in Seattle. Oh, by the way, Quentin Jefferson had a career high 5.5 sacks last year. Those two come from the Pacific Northwest. Then you have John Franklin Myers, who can dip inside. Obviously, he can play outside the defensive end and then come inside on passing downs. And the Jets are taking a similar approach with Michael Clemens this year.
I'm glad you mentioned Quinnen Williams because amongst all the craziness of Aaron Rodgers, the Jets opening camp, the fans here at One Jets Drive, we have not talked about Quinnen Williams. Caroline, when you sat down with Quinnen, what did he tell you that maybe caught your eye?
You're right, Ethan. We've been really hyped about Aaron Rodgers, but Q is home, and I personally could not be more excited. He was telling me that after he signed his 4-year extension, it was amazing to see the organization invest in him, and it makes him super grateful. I, of course, had to ask him about Aaron Rodgers because he didn't get to spend the offseason with him, and he said it reminds him of his time at Alabama when the best of the best were going against each other at practice, and it just kind of raised that standard every single day. But for Q personally, his standard this year is being raised by his wife, Miranda, and his new baby girl, True Amore. They welcomed their first child this offseason, and he said playing for them is pushing him to a whole new level this season, and there's still a ton he wants to accomplish.
Did he actually say like what his goals were, Caroline, or did he just say the general stuff?
You know, he said that he's not the best player he wants to be, and it comes down to a lot of little things. Now, he didn't list off all of those little things, but he said one of those things is his diet. And, you know, I got to be honest, when he came back for the signing, he looked in great shape. And so he said the diet is a big one for him. He just wants to get it under control so that he can finish games and finish those fourth downs the way he wants to.
You know, EA and I were talking about everybody's losing weight, gaining weight. What is it? Quinnen Williams just wants to clean up his diet. Sounds like mostly everybody in the summer, because it might be August for us, which is training camp season, but really this is like the beach season for everyone else, EA.
Yeah, Carl Lawson's ready for the beach, isn't he?
Is he ever not ready for the beach, though?
I'll tell you what, it is July, so I'm going to correct you there.
Yeah, I need, all the days blend together. Thank you for keeping me honest.
And you definitely have to show Lawson's arms every training camp live. that is an intimidating shot.
Yeah.
That's what opposing quarterbacks are going to be facing. Josh Allen, take a look at that, because that's coming at you week 1, September 11th. One more point about Al Woods. And great move by Joe Douglas getting Quinnen Williams done before training camp. 25 years old. He's 4 years in the National Football League.
Crazy.
12.5 sacks last year, or 12 sacks last year. Just an enormous presence along that defensive line. Al Woods, philosophical change for him is that Robert Saleh has said in the past, you're going like more that athletic, quicker guy on the inside defensive tackle. Al Woods is a space eater. He's a monster coming out of that tunnel.
Who do you think is the last Jets defensive tackle-ish to be that size? Like Chris Jenkins?
That's interesting. I gotta think about that. Jenkins, you're taking me back on that one.
Snacks? Damon Harrison?
Yeah, I don't know if Snacks was a big dude.
Well, the answer, you can think on it, because the next time that we're live here is Tuesday, July 25th. That's a big day, because here's the thing. The Jets will put on the pads Tuesday, July 25th. We'll be live for that, and EA will tell you who was the last defensive tackle to be as big as Al Woods then. That's all we have here at Jets Training Camp Live, presented by Honda. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you Tuesday.